Well, good morning. A little bit about myself. I'm retired Air Force, and after I left the Air Force, I did a lot of consulting for a number of three-letter agencies and top 200 companies, as well as some small companies. I was a military advisor in the Middle East in the United Arab Emirates. Management group came back and found me and said, would you please come and work on government ministry strategy. So my Air Force career was doing air, land, sea, and space-based equipment. I got a good feel for the kill chain. Worked F-15, F-16, AWACS, Joint Stars directly. Throughout my career, I touched on at least 85% of the Air Force inventory. If you had ever heard of the JTRS, Joint Tactical Radio System program, they picked me to pick that program in the butt and get it moving. I still have the jitters from it. They call it jitters for short. So there's a lot of Steves running around. If you want to get my attention, you can call me Dog. That's my Air Force call sign. Mike Aberson and Matt Wilson's pictures are up here. They are the co-chairs for the C4I Defense and Military Domain Task Force. So, and you'll hear the terms DTF. DTF is Domain Task Force. You'll hear PTF, Platform Task Force. Think of a domain as a vertical and a platform as cross-cutting, if you don't know that. So, and we have a number of capabilities, that I'll describe. So OMG is Standards Development Office. That's where we started our organization 34 years ago. We created a management organization that oversees a number of different consortia that we built into the portfolio. And our job at OMG is to develop technological standards as we go forward. So the SDO is where we started. We developed a portfolio of different consortia out there. I'm not going to name them all. If you have questions about that, I'm more than happy to explain that to you. But they all work together, and when they come up with a need for a standard, they'll feed it to OMG SDO, and we have an overarching management group called the Object Management Group. This is an example of some of the verticals that we work in. If you look at the defense and military down in the bottom left-hand corner, that's where C4I runs into. We were founded in 1989. We have over 240 organizations. We've developed 250 plus specifications to date. Whether you know it or not, you use one of our standards every day. It's called CORBA, Common Object Request Broker Architecture. Okay, it's in almost every cell phone, iPad, laptop, desktop, mainframe computer, and you use it and don't realize. That's what we consider a great standard. When you go to plug into a socket here in the United States, you don't think about what is it, do I have the right plug-in, unless you're from an international company. 13, all of our specifications are written in ISO format. And if we have a member or a user that comes in and says, we want you to take this to ISO, we will do that for you. What it does for us is our average is 19 to 20 months to get a specification out. And normally people go, my God, that's too long. And I understand it's too long, okay? But when you look at what we do here and how it's done, it's a rigorous process that is acceptable. If you compare that to some of the other standards organization, you take a standard start to finish at ISO, it's 8 years. So what happens, you get 19 to 20 months from us. We have a fast track system with ISO. They'll go through the review and turn around and look at it. And our average with ISO is 3 years. So 20 months plus 36, that's about 56 months. So we do shorten the cycle of them. This is an example of some of our members. This is not a complete list. If I did it, it would be an eye chart. You would be able to read it. But you'll see small businesses, large businesses in here. You'll see international companies. international governments that are part of our membership. This will just give you an example. So we worked with DAU and they asked us to provide quad charts for them for our different capabilities. I'm not going to read you these charts. I just want you to be aware of them. If you're interested, you can reach me. My email address is on the front of this presentation. This presentation is downloadable off of our website. But this is an example of what those quad charts are in the areas of the C4I defense and military market. Okay. This chart shows some of the higher standards that are used more regularly out of C4I. I put almost an Arias on here because those were developed for ships and UAVs. We actually had Space Command come in through the U.S. Air Force Space and Missile Center and ask for a alert management system for satellites. That happened in 2018. I walked them over here to C4I and said, you need to look at this specification for satellites. This one was built for UAVs. They said, no, satellites are special. And I said, okay, just have an open mind, look at it. Took it back, and 3 months later, they accepted that as their alert management system for satellites. We have a specification known as Information Exchange Framework. It is a secure data services type technology standard. It's being employed to a great extent in Canada. If you want more information on that, Mike Abramson back here in the corner, you can't miss him, is the guy that you need to talk to about that. And we have some substandards that work with that specifically, but you should be aware of it. I talked about jitters, software-defined radios. That's how I became aware of Object Management Group. I approached 2 voluntary consensus standards bodies. That's what we are, was OMG and the Open Group. I told them I needed something in 14 months, period, when I was running the jitters program. The Open Group said that's impossible. The Object Management Group, I met with Richard Soley. He said, you're asking a big ask. They did it in 14 months for us. That standard I was so intense working on that it be as open as possible, trying to do it right. In 2004, we embarked on that capability in 2001. In 2004, NASA came in the door and said, we'd like to look at it. Told my engineers, give them everything you got. They looked at it in 2010. They went and bought a MITS J box, which was for airplanes. They spacerized it, put it on a shuttle, sent it up to the space station, and operated it, and it worked. In 2017, NASA came back to us and asked us to take their space telecommunications radio services specification and turn it into an international spec. We did that for them. That was approved in 2020. In the midst of trying to get that done, they turned around and ported it for optical comm. It worked. Took them 2 weeks to fix the bugs. That specification is out there for free. You can download it. Why am I using that as an example? I'm trying to show you that we are still relevant in the extensibility of the specifications. In 2001, we talked about radio signals DC to light. NASA proved that in 2019. So a great news story. This is cyber is the next bastion for us in OMG, and this particular domain task force. This is a little bit about information exchange framework, where we created a data lake in the center to collect information, and we can test back and forth between computers whether the information is what it's focused on, and is it the right information, and what is the behavioral characteristics that you display as a user of your computer when you turn around and talk to another computer. Finally, if you look at a particular arena I use this chart to talk about space. These are all the space specifications you can use at the top. You can pick the different models down here at the bottom to choose from to work with. I talked about Corba. Meta Object Facility is the foundation of which we do everything at OMG to make things work. If you've not heard of Unifying Architecture Framework, it's being used by the DoD and other military groups throughout the world. It's also being used by BMW and Ford Motor Company. And then if you have information exchange net standard, that'll help you with cybersecurity. And then DDS is used by NASA to launch rockets. And in 10 seconds, they make a go, no go, go fly. Just so the bottom line of this chart, you can come to home. I think we are the key when it comes to standards. And if you have any questions, I'm around to answer them.